It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff is here from Madrid. Gina's here from Think Up. And Kevin Marks joins us. We're going to talk about the secrets of Twitter, what Facebook is trying to do to make teenagers behave better. And we've got some great tips in the Google changelog, some stuff you can use, all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twig.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 273, recorded October 29th, 2014. My first web page. This Week in Google is brought to you by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll finally have all your financial life in one place and get a clear view of everything you own. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/twig. And by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a 2-week trial and 10% off, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIG. And by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/twig and using the promo code TWIG. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, and the show that covers the Googleverse, but also Facebook, Twitter, the cloud, media as it changes, anything we want to talk about. I tell you, it's really great when you have a panel like this, because really the sky's the limit. Let's start with Gina Trapani. She blogs at
scribbling.net.
That's it.
I know, it's a new URL. I know. I just, you know, Leo, I changed because you said smarterwear sounded like underwear. So it's really your fault.
I said
put
that?
it on you.
What? She blogs at scribbling.
Yes, scribbling.net.
You also find her, of course,
scribble on the whiteboard behind you.
Yeah. Oh, look,
I know,
that's
just
new.
that.
New whiteboard. She's at the offices of Think Up, where she works. She is does a really interesting product that you could try at thinkup.com. Gives you insights into your tweets and Facebook, your social shares. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Good to be here. Good night. Good to see you too.
Also from Madrid, where he is speaking, Mr. Jeff Jarvis, professor of journalism at the City University of New York. His blog is buzzmachine.com. His latest book is...
Hola.
Hello. Hola, senor. So it's late at night.
That's my Spanish. Yeah, it's 9:35.
All right.
And I'm tired.
Well, we thank you for being here.
Oh, no, it's always my pleasure. I was here to do a Google Big Tent event, and let's do the full disclosure here is that, yes, Google paid my travel because I'm a poor professor and I wouldn't do this that way, but I do not get paid by Google. Take no fees from Google.
Well, given how much you did, they ought to pay you.
Well, here's the thing I should have been able to get. I warned them going in. I said, I'm going to be in Madrid. It's going to be hard to order the Nexus 6. I don't want a free phone from you. I want to be able to buy your damn phone. I didn't get it.
Oh, neither did I, and therein lies a tale. But let's first say hello to Kevin Marks. He is also joining us. Kevin has worked at Google. He's worked everywhere, Apple, BBC, British Telecom. He's in his garden, as usual, and we love having you. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us.
Great to see you.
KevinMarks.com. And actually, I brought Kevin on because he wrote a great article about Twitter, which we'll get to in a second. But first, let's talk about the Nexus 6. Today was the day I got up early, really early, and started refreshing play.google.com over and over, just getting, available to order October 29th, available to order October 29th. I had to come to work, so around about 10:30 in the morning, our time, I refreshed one last time, and oddly, it said the 32 gigs were out of stock. I thought, well, that's strange. I thought that was an error, or maybe they didn't have any, because there were two memory configurations, 32 gigs and 64. I drove in, which is really literally 5 minutes, and they were sold out. Apparently 60 seconds.
Oh, if that.
You think less, Jason?
Yes, because when I was frantically...
Jason got one!
I got one. I got in there.
Jason.
I don't know how it happened. But yes, I mean, it was a concerted effort. I had one browser on one side, another on the other side. the blue on one side, the white on the other side, refreshing. I noticed a change on this side. It suddenly went from pre-sale soon to out of inventory, like immediately.
Yeah.
So then over there, I just started hitting, and at some point I got in, but I would probably say it was for sale maybe 30 seconds each device before it was completely sold out.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Google.
So I didn't get one. Gina, did you try?
I didn't even try. I can't do it. I'm sticking with my OnePlus right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be zen about the phone that I have. Yes.
But Jeff and I were both going to buy one. We couldn't do it. Now, I have to say, I'm not completely disheartened because, yeah, I gave my OnePlus to Father Robert Balassier, but I have the Note 4, which I actually really like. So I'm not without.
That'll last 2 weeks.
Well, I know. Even if you ordered it, you're not going to get it for a while, probably late November, December. What?
Ships
Well, I'm
November
gonna get
21st.
it later than anybody else is going to get it.
Yeah, well, that we know that.
November 21st is the ship date.
You know what we should do, Jeff? We should just wait till Jason gets his. We should listen to his review and then decide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're that controlled, sure.
I'm just saying it's what we should do.
See,
Yeah,
see,
well.
I didn't try and buy it because it seemed a bit expensive, and I still like the look of the OnePlus One, but I haven't found a way to get one of those yet either. So I'm still sitting with the Nexus 5, feeling left out.
They had problems too.
They went online, Monday this week, offering it without invitation.
Oh, they did that now. Okay, I wasn't.
Well,
paying
they
attention
only
to
did
it,
it for,
clearly.
what, 1 hour, right, Jason?
It was
Yeah,
going to be
it
1
didn't
hour.
last.
They had all sorts of site issues. They ended up extending it to 3 hours, and still people couldn't get in and register their orders.
This is kind of the way of the world now, which is these
Ridiculous.
high-end flagship phones sell fast. But if you've got how many do you think Google had? What do they have, 10 in a box?
I'm sure they had quite a lot, but it's
20 seconds.
lean manufacturing means they have to make some more. Wow.
Yeah, so you said they were expensive. I guess they were. They are not the low-cost Nexus 5 variety, or even OnePlus One. OnePlus One is 64 gig. OnePlus One is $350, and a very good phone for that price.
Yeah, it's a good deal, the OnePlus.
And I'm happy with the Note 4 or the OnePlus, but I did kind of want Lollipop.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? That's what I really want. I want the software. I was kind of ambivalent about the size, and of course I always want the new Nexus just because the Nexus line has been so great. But it's the software, right? But look, we'll get the software will get pushed to the Nexus 5, the Nexus 7. We'll see. We'll see Lollipop.
I could get a Nexus 9 tablet.
Oh, those didn't sell out.
Those, for some reason, they got lots of those.
Bad
For some reason, they've got lots of those.
size.
Yeah, what is it? Is it the 9 inches? But it says it's just right here.
Well, then,
The real problem is I have a Nexus 7, and there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah.
And I'll have Lollipop on that one at the same time, right?
Yeah, I haven't got around to putting Lollipop on that with the dev build yet.
So I don't want to use the dev build, but I do want,
something.
when 5.0, Android 5.0 comes out, I do want to put that on
You'll
something.
get it on the 7.
Yeah, that's
Over the air
fine.
update. On
That's
the
good
7,
enough.
Yeah.
And if you have a Nexus 5, you'll get it. And given that they're saying that the Nexus 9 leaves the warehouse November 3rd, and we know it'll have Lollipop, that sounds like that's when Lollipop will be available, is early November, like 4 days from
I'm
now.
such a hoarder by instinct. Now that the Nexus 7 is discontinued, I almost want to buy one just to have a backup. Because I like
That's
it
a
so
good call.
much.
That's a good call. Yep.
You're like Kim Kardashian and her Blackberries.
She told Kara Swisher she
Gina,
had like 5 Blackberries.
The Kardashian references, Gina. No, you crush me every time you do that. You lower yourself from the firmament on high where I hold you down to earth and below.
This was a
Gina Trapani,
recode interview.
Kardashian fan. It doesn't compute.
This is a recode interview. Kara Swisher interviewed her. This is legit, man. This isn't like the Daily Mail or TMZ.
yeah. Nice
This is real.
We know why
This
you
is
watch it.
hard-hitting tech reporting here. Come on.
And as Liz Gaines noted in her description of the interview, Kim's makeup looked incredible despite the heat. And no, actually, I really thought this was quite interesting. Kara Swisher is going to join us on Twit on Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll ask her, what it was like to hang with the Kardashians.
It's funny. The only photo that I saw, they were both Kara and Kim were like not at all facing one another. Like the body language, totally, they're both kind of facing
body
out.
language, yeah.
It just didn't look like they were connecting really. But I found her profession of love for the BlackBerry, really interesting. I don't know.
She says she has several because she can't live without it. It's a BlackBerry Bold, by the way. It's not even like a recent BlackBerry. She uses her iPhone for pictures, but the BlackBerry is for the real business. For getting out.
She buys them off of eBay and has 3 spares. So when one breaks, she uses a spare, and then she eBays another one. So she always has 3 spares. She said if she could, she would buy the company.
That was the funniest thing. Kara said, you should just buy the company. She said,
She probably could afford it, right?
I'm sure it's a fire sale.
She could buy the profits out of that game, definitely.
Out of the game, yeah. Use the profits from her game to buy Black. This is amazing. I love this idea.
I think, now we know that Gina watches that show, right?
I think I just fell asleep in Madrid, and this is a nightmare now.
It's a nightmare. Gina's a huge fan.
I'll spare you my... I find the Kardashian brand and the way that it was built and the family very fascinating. I think there are a lot of fascinating aspects of it.
Do you think Kara is also a secret Kardashian fan?
Kara is totally pro-Kardashian. She was defending the interview, from the get-go. First of all, the success of the game is amazing, and I don't think it's a testament to the Kardashians' tech savviness. It's a testament to the power of their brand, which is amazing. I mean, retail stores, TV, the App Store. Fashion, clothing, perfume. I mean, in every avenue, like you put their name on it, and they're in Sears. They make tons of money, and that's fascinating to me. And they're so social media savvy. Like the most liked Instagram photo ever is her and Kanye's wedding. They apparently spent weeks on their honeymoon, like tweaking it before they posted on Instagram. I mean, she's, extremely savvy. And I find that interesting.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say, because I'm going to get lots of email about this.
Yeah, here's the body language. They're just kind of, just a little, it just doesn't, it's a little.
I don't believe Kardashian is real. It doesn't look like one of those.
It's one of those Iduros, those Japanese 3D models.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not real. That's not a human being.
What, Jeff? Of course she's a human being, Jeff. What are you talking about? You know what? Here's what Liz Gaines wrote. In the end, the most impressive thing about Kardashian, I guess her new name is Kardashian West. This woman has incredible endurance to deflect the hate and continue to do this thing that she chooses to do every day, which is something Jeff Jarvis advocates, which is share her life.
True?
It's true. It's true.
The glue game Hollywood had been out for a long time, and it was glue. I don't know if it was Glue or Kim's idea to put her brand into it. But that's what made it a sudden hit. And, I've played it. My daughter loved it. And I played it. It's actually a very fun game.
I mean, and the message of the game is something I get on board with. You work really hard and then to make things happen, right? I mean, in the game, you work really hard to be famous, right? And that's what they do.
I guess it is a form of work. I guess.
But, I mean, it's Tiny Tower, but for, celebrities.
It's Tiny Tower for celebrities. But
Yeah.
that's a really interesting thing. She works really hard to be famous, but that's absolutely a description of what she and others like her, Paris Hilton, people who don't have any outward particular skill, they're not writers or actors or performers or musicians. Their skill is that they work really hard to be famous.
Yeah.
They're famous for being famous.
Like Peggy Cass in our days, Leo.
Yeah, we had them. What the hell did Kitty Carlisle do? Actually, she was a writer.
Not shaking her head.
Yeah, but I mean, there have been. Yeah, we are old, Jeff. There have always been people who are famous for being famous. Usually, they were public intellectuals.
No, not the early
I mean, look,
days.
she's a model and into fashion.
They were
I mean,
comics. Maybe they were comedians. But, well, Charo is the closest thing to Kim Kardashian. She was famous for marrying a band leader. Xavier Cugat was the Kanye West of his day. She was famous for being sexy and voluptuous. Coochie coochie coo, and talking in a funny Spanish accent. She didn't actually, I mean, she sang, but I don't think, she sang in Kugat's band, but I don't think she was a great singer. She was Kim Kardashian. If she'd had a mobile platform, she could have done a game. Did you like Charo?
No, she drove me nuts.
Anyway, I
didn't mean to diverge into it. Well, there's lots of Google news to talk about, so we probably shouldn't talk about the Kardashians.
I'm sorry, I'm busy watching the interview. I can't look away.
It delighted me that there was some sort of parallel between Jeff and Kim.
We'll get the behind the scenes story on Sunday from Kara. I'm sure there's some stuff. There's some, don't you think?
Right.
There's a little something.
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually, that body language isn't so bad. It was just a photo
there was that one still that got out, and they were facing away from each other. I think that's just, I think knowing Kara, who's a fairly sardonic, smart but sardonic person, I'm sure she got the humor of it.
Oh yeah.
What was Zsa Zsa Gabor famous for? There's a good example.
That's a good question.
At least Kim has a game and a hit TV show. All right, so what should we do? Should we beg Google to send us Nexus 6s? Should we just turn?
I already complained. I have to say, I sent the message to the Google, and I said I was going to warn you when I complained, and I sent him a screenshot of the out of inventory. And he emailed back and said they proved to be popular.
Now, you may say, "Oh, come on, Jeff," but let me show you this picture, because we were talking last week about Inbox, which is the Google email program. Gina very kindly did pull some strings to get both me and Jeff Inbox, and we both. I love it. We'll have to ask you how you love it. But as soon as we talked about it, look at the tweet, because we were speculating. I bet these guys are watching as we talk about it. Yep.
Oh, nice.
There is the Inbox team watching us talk about Inbox with beer.
That is amazing.
I had tweeted that, or I guess I mentioned the show, when Leo was trying to find something, and then he finally did find it, I said I imagined there were Googlers saying, "Yeah, Leo, no, less, Leo, yay, Leo." That's what came from. It's the greatest. They give credit for who took the picture there.
Jason Cornwell.
Thank you.
And
brilliant.
Jason, I presume, is on the Inbox team because his Twitter icon has a giant Inbox logo icon in his hands. So, and there it is.
If you read the little name tags there, I think that's him. It's his desk too.
Yeah, the bearded guy. So pretty sweet.
I'd be really impressed if they took a picture of this on the screen.
Yeah, let's do Inception. Can you take a picture of this?
Keep going.
Of us looking at you, looking at us. Just to actually, before we move on from Inbox, Gina, what do you think a week in now?
So I haven't been using it full time because my main email address is my Google Apps address, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work with it. And I mean, I like it so much that I briefly considered changing my whole email setup so everything gets forwarded to Gmail so that I could use Inbox full time. But I just never got around to it. I'm gonna wait until it's Google Apps. But I'm sold on it. I'm totally into Inbox Zero. I love the idea of deferring messages till later to remind me. I think that the concept, the app is beautiful. The material design I love. So I'm just waiting for Google App support. So.
And Jeff, you can't use it either because your mail is an apps.
Same bet. The interesting thing is it's sending more alerts to my watch.
Right. From
the account I hardly use.
Well, you could turn that off.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I like that. I mean, I'm liking it. I only use it, maybe once a day.
Well, I have to tell you, I am in love.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to Inbox Zero,
nice.
which I've never been.
Oh, shut up.
And
I don't want to.
And with like three check-ins, 4 check-ins a day, I'm able to stay there. It's the only solution I've ever had that actually really works.
Nice.
Wow.
And all my mail goes through this account. This is not like a secondary account. It's the account. So
That's great.
I haven't seen any flaws. It's like I don't think I've missed any mail, but you really understand when you're using this inbox program, you're basically letting Google do the filtering. You can add your own filters, but they do such a good job.
My worry is that I'm going to swipe away some grouped number of things, conversations and miss something. But that was my same worry about priority inbox, and it's been great.
Right.
I mean, it's fine as long as I can sort of cede control a little bit and trust based on my behavior, which I've been using Gmail, every single day for the past almost 10 years now, I guess. I think if I get past that, then I'm good. But you don't feel like you've swiped away anything or missed anything important. You feel
I swiped away something that I went, oops, and it's the top of the done folder. So it's easy to get back to.
So everything's there, right? Yeah.
There's some weird stuff that I didn't really understand or wasn't fully documented to me. For instance, there's a low priority folder, which seems to get everything. In my responses, I don't understand why stuff's going there as well as done. But maybe if there's documentation somewhere. That's the other thing. I have not read any documentation. I've just used it.
Well, but that's because you're a human being. That's what people do.
Right.
They don't read the docs.
Right.
It's okay.
There's I love it. I have found it to be exactly what I was looking for. And, email's so broken. But we got to be fair. This is based on a lot of work done by Mailbox, which is now a Dropbox company. They use some techniques that Outlook Mail uses, the sweep thing. So it's a merger of ideas from a variety of sources, but I think they really did a nice job. Have invites been going out?
So if you use the app, you get 3 invites, I guess, after using it for a while.
Use those up right away, yeah.
And then
I haven't tried it yet. I haven't got an invite, so if somebody wants
Kevin,
to
I'm
send me
sorry. I would send you an invite if I had one. But
I have one. I'll send one to you, Kevin.
Oh, there you go. That's your reward for being on this show. Kevin, you use Gmail as your primary mail, and it's not the app's version?
I use Gmail, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mostly use it on my phone.
Yeah, this is really well suited to mobile. There's a web interface as well.
Yeah, well, I use it on the web, on the computer, and on the phone, but I don't live in email anymore. I've stopped doing that.
Yeah, I stopped too because it's so broken. Sparrow Mail was bought by Google. I wonder if these are some of the Sparrow folks. That's right. Sparrow was a very nice app. Remember that? It was Mac only. Really liked that. Maybe that's...
And Boxer was another one as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the leg up that Google has is that this is a native client for Gmail that can do the multi-tag things, right? I mean, and this is the thing we were talking about last week, is that with Gmail, you could assign multiple tags and you can nest them to one message, right? Whereas the pure IMAP or POP config, POP implementation is, one folder. So I think this is the great thing that something like Inbox can do that maybe other third-party clients can't do as well, or maybe won't implement as true to Gmail.
Yeah, it's really just another way of doing Gmail. It's another window into Gmail. It doesn't. Yeah. You still can use Gmail. You can go back to the Gmail interface. Everything you've done in Inbox will be reflected in Gmail. I can't tell you how happy I am when I go to Gmail and I don't see any. I see Inbox 0. I've never seen that. I used to see 25,000 messages.
You get the sunny message, the sunny day. Go enjoy your day. Isn't it like a picture of a sun?
Oh, I haven't seen that
smiling
yet. I guess I'm not truly 0.
I had this in the changelog, but I might as well mention it now because we're talking about Inbox. The Inbox app is now in the Chrome Web Store. It's basically just a bookmark to the web-based app. But if you want to add it to your apps page in Chrome on the desktop, you can just search for it in the Chrome Web Store.
Here's the one issue for as a Chromebook user. This is true of the new Docs, the new Drive, and OneBox All. Is you need offline support.
Yeah, and this does not have offline right now.
I think that the new Drive, which let's try that. Oh, that's pretty. Where's the offline?
Right.
Back to old Drive.
Right. You could still have your Gmail offline as your offline version of Gmail.
Yeah, you can use that version, but you're not using OneBox.
Well, Inbox. So but that's the thing. I use Inbox when I'm online, and I use it all the time. But if I got on an airplane, I'd make sure I stacked. But see, I've processed my mail so fast now. It's not like I have a big bunch of backlog stuff to work on the plane. Most of my mail is apparently junk.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Turns out I didn't really have anything in there.
Yeah, we use a Slack at ThinkUp to talk,
Slack's
my team
cool.
to do team,
Yeah.
and it's great. And so we just stopped using email. We only use Slack. So and now that I'm not really doing much freelance work, the email just doesn't matter as much.
Right.
So I'm terrible at email now, and I feel a little bad about it because I wrote a book with a chapter dedicated to managing your email, and I'm so bad at it now. But
You wrote a Gmail add-on that everybody used for a long time.
yeah, I wrote better Gmail. I love Gmail, and of course, I'm never not gonna have email. But the nice thing about Slack and other messaging services is these are folks that the whitelist that we were talking about last week. These are the folks that I know need to get a hold of me right away. They're my teammates. They're my coworkers. It's crazy. I was on the plane. I was actually coming back from San Francisco, and full disclosure, I should say, I was in San Jose this weekend at Google's Mentor Summit for their Google Summer of Code program. I was a mentor this summer, and they paid for my travel. I actually never got to the Google campus. I stayed at the hotel. All the sessions were at the hotel. It was a meetup of open source coders. It was a lot of fun. But I was on the plane on the way home, and the guy sitting next to me was on GitHub and Slack, he was a coder, and I was like, oh wow, okay. And Slack came up several times in several different sessions, and it became so quickly this ubiquitous app that it feels like everybody's using.
Everybody uses it.
Well, for me, I think it's a sort of private version of the IRC plus wiki way of working, which is how we do the open stuff. Any open source thing will have an IRC channel that you go and chat in, and standard stuff does that too. And then you have a wiki to keep the persistent thing. And Slack is just like a sort of private version of that. So you have a chat room that your stuff's in, but the neat thing is all the integrations it has as well. So every time you touch anything else, that sends a little note to Slack, and you've got a record of that too. So I'm using it for a couple of different startups I'm working with, and it's great.
This is Stuart Butterfield's startup. He, of course, was the founder of Flickr with Katerina Fake. And it's nice to see Stuart do something new. It's great.
Yeah.
And have a hit.
Yeah, it's a huge hit. It's a really great app.
We've been using, because we use Jira, Atlassian Jira for with our dev team for the website. They have HipChat, which is kind of a similar solution. So we do it all in Jira. But I think I could see why people use Slack. It's great. It's a great solution. All right, let's take a break. We've got lots to talk about. As you mentioned, a reorg at Google puts Sundar Pichai in charge of the whole kit and caboodle, practically. We could talk a little bit about Apple Pay, because when Rite Aid and CVS shut down Apple Pay, they also shut down Google Wallet and all other tap-to-pay solutions.
And you'll be delighted to know there's news on the front of Leistungsschutzrecht.
Get your reggae out. The Leistungsschutzrecht continues. And we'll also talk to Kevin about his article, his blog post. He's going to just be prepared. He's going to use the word fatic again. So,
Fatic.
I didn't even say it right. I want to break out.
I hope I'm saying it right, and now I'm wondering.
Who knows? PHATIC.
Kevin, I'm betting on you.
I would think he's probably right on this one. Has to do with grooming, I think. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, our show today brought to you by Personal Capital. And it is grooming for your financial life. If you're planning for your future, and I hope you are, you really need to know about Personal Capital. It's a free, totally secure tool that will solve two big issues that get in the way of people investing properly for the future. One is, of course, everything's, it's hard to keep track of everything. It's all on different websites with different usernames, your stocks, your 401k, your bank accounts, your charge cards, your assets. Second problem, if you're paying somebody to manage it, you're probably paying too much. And if you're not, you're making your own financial decisions, you're probably having a hard time with that. Personal Capital really cuts through this to solve the problem in a modern way. First of all, within minutes, you'll be able to set it up and put all of your assets, all your accounts into Personal Capital, completely secure to do that. And then you'll have a single screen that tells you exactly where you stand with real-time intuitive graphs. Android, iOS. They also have a website. They also have an Android Wear app, which is actually pretty cool. So you really keep track of what's going on. They have calculators on there to show you how you've invested, whether you've properly proportioned your investments for your retirement age. They'll show you if you're overpaying in fees, ways to reduce those fees, and you can get tailored advice. You don't have to, but you can get tailored advice from their certified financial planners. They're not working on commission, and they can give you great advice for optimizing your investment. Don't wait. This is free. Try it right now. Signing up just takes a minute. It will pay big dividends. You got a plan for your future. No one else is. Personalcapital.com/twig. Personalcapital.com/twig. Yeah, household budgeting. They'll do that too. It's all in there. It's really a simple interface to your financial life. And we thank them so much for their support and for the great help that they have been to all of us. So Sundar Pichai, who I first met him at a Chrome event. He was in charge of Chrome. Is that how he started at Google? He's been there a while.
He has been there a while. I'm not sure.
So he moved so he was Chrome, then Chrome OS, then Chromebook. When Andy Rubin left Android to go to do something with Google X, he took over Android. He is in charge of Google Apps. And now Larry Page has announced they're going to transfer leadership of almost everything else to Sundar Pichai. They sent out a memo last week announcing this. In fact, the only things that aren't under Sundar Pichai is YouTube. Susan Wojcicki is still running YouTube and reports directly to Larry Page. And that makes sense, actually. And I want to talk about another article by Ben Thompson. We talked about it on Sunday. He wrote an article called Peak Google on his blog Stratechery. And one of the things we've been talking about a lot lately is, has Google reached the peak with search and search advertising? And one of the things you can definitely point to.
We mentioned that last week on this show, too. So
yeah, really great. And Ben was great on Twitter on Sunday talking about this. And then I was talking with Jason Snell on Monday on triangulation, and it's really clear that YouTube was a brilliant attempt by Google to find the next thing, and it is probably one of the shining lights. So it's interesting that is still kind of run directly from Larry Page's office with Susan Wojcicki. I don't know what else is not in his purview. Maybe the investments, the Google Ventures, but he's got.
There's a lot of story said that he's CEO material, but I think that means here or elsewhere.
He's got Energy, he's got Access, he's got Nest, he's got Calico, he's got Google X, he's got corporate.
It's not X. I didn't get X. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. This is what he didn't get.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Page continues. So part of this Larry said, look, I'm just getting too, all I'm doing is reading reports. So I'm going to give a lot of this to Sundar. So Page will keep kind of the next generation stuff, Access, Energy, Nest, Calico, Google X, and then kind of, I don't know, administrative stuff like legal, finance, ad sales will stay under him, corporate development. Page says, I want to focus on the bigger picture, and I couldn't do it with all the stuff I had to do. What do you guys think? Pichai, I think, is a very smart guy. And he's a Google guy.
Yeah. And he's got a good reputation for actually building things that work inside Google, and that's valuable, I think.
He arrived at Google
and more good at getting things actually done.
Yeah, getting things done is a good thing to have in a manager, I think. He arrived 10 years ago. He was at McKinsey. He went to Wharton School of Business, Stanford, and the Indian Institute of Technology. He's from Chennai. Apparently, Microsoft considered him for CEO. At least that was the rumor. Twitter tried to recruit him several years ago. He is now basically senior vice president in charge of all of our products. But people have been pretty clear that he's not on the CEO track. Except he is, isn't he? I mean,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously very well trusted.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like to work directly for him, but it sounds like he's a guy who's known for building bridges and making things happen. And I don't know. I always liked it, maybe in response to Steve Jobs, I sort of like the idea of the executive who's not a complete a-hole. Like that.
Right.
That there's like that one kind of management style. I like to hear about. The other ones.
My brief interaction with him. It was when Chromebooks started coming out, and I said, I don't get it. I don't see why anybody would buy a whole computer that just is a browser. And instead of getting pissed off, which he could have easily done, or becoming defensive, we had a great conversation about why he thought this was a good market. And he was right, by the way, in every respect, and I was wrong. But it was it was a nice, pleasant conversation. It was good. I was really impressed. I didn't know he was going to become the guy running Google, though. I would have been nicer to him.
Maybe you could have gotten a phone.
I might have been able to get a Nexus 6. Some concern in Recode's article about this by Liz and Kara does mention that, well, if Sundar is now in charge of everything, what happens to other executives who are now underneath him instead of underneath Page? And their conclusion is most of them are longtime Google loyalists and probably will not leave. Alan Eustace in research. He's the guy. This is another story who jumped out of just broke the record for high altitude parachuting. That's an amazing story. Amit Singhal is in search. David, how is it? Bespris? Is that how you pronounce it? He's at Google Plus Social. Jen Fitzpatrick in Maps. Sridhar Ramaswamy on ads and commerce. Urs Holzel on technical infrastructure. They say these guys are Google loyalists. And, of course, Susan Wojcicki herself, who rented her garage to the boys when Google started out.
And I think that's where Pichai being very well respected and well liked, comes into play, right? You're not people aren't going to leave, and he's not known for cracking heads. He's known for getting things done. It sounds like Page just needs more time to do you sit around and think up big ideas, right? Instead of go through TPS reports.
Yeah. I'll bet at some level, if you're frustrated, you can't get an answer from Larry. You can't get an answer from Larry. Now you know we're going to get an answer.
Right.
The problem with Google is what I hear from a lot of Googlers is it's far more like the military than I ever would have guessed.
Really?
And the sense that that person's a rank G43, and then they took those other jobs, so they'd be a rank G 10. Yeah, it's. I was very surprised at that. There's heavy ranking within Google, is what I hear.
It's interesting. It feels like it's a flatter hierarchy than that.
It's too big now. It's for 50,000 people or whatever the number is. Right. It's too huge.
What was it like when you were there, Kevin?
Well, I think that's many. They structure and those kinds of internal rankings and things like that. They have grades and different people in different grades. What they were good at when I was there was not having that sort of grading be a reporting structure as well. The reporting structures were flatter. So it wasn't that you get promoted through these grades and that created the containment hierarchy. It was much more of a team-oriented thing for building things, and the management pathways, reporting chains were relatively short. And also that if you're making something new, you did have to go and pitch it to Larry and Sergey at some point. So that was part of the process there. But the drawback of that was that could potentially create bottlenecks. That was something that was, it was, Marissa Meyer, for example, had office hours, but she was very, very busy, which meant you had to queue up outside her door to get a minute of her time to get approval to do certain things. So that sort of caused a problem with scaling at one point. So it's always a challenge with any of these management things. Is like, do you try and build a hierarchical organization, or do you try and build teams that can coalesce and build things? And Google was trying really hard, very long time to keep it as small teams that work together. But a lot of the things that they do, like making you share offices and things like that, are designed to encourage that sort of small team feeling as well as being part of the whole.
Well, they're doing something right, but it is a challenge, and I think that's one of the things Ben Thompson pointed out with Pete Google, which as we talked about last week, but we also talked about Sunday, is it's a real challenge for any tech company. The cycle is so quick, and it's the innovator's dilemma. It's how do I maintain my success today and yet plan for the future, a future which is coming at full speed straight at us. Search clearly is being supplanted by something else, social sort of, I don't know what. Certainly, search ads aren't going to last forever. Google hasn't really licked mobile, although I think that's possible, but maybe that's not even the future of advertising. So, and YouTube is, and Ben said this, a shining light here. Clearly the future is bright for YouTube. I don't know. So Alan Eustace, who is a senior vice president, is apparently watched with interest Felix Baumgartner jumping out of a spacecraft sponsored by Red Bull and GoPro and breaking the record for high altitude jump. Watched with interest because he actually been planning the same thing for a couple of years. And Google even said, hey, we'll sponsor. And he said, no, I don't want to make it too commercial. I just want to jump out of a balloon.
He didn't actually want to wear glass while he was doing it. That was the thing.
He didn't wear glass, did he? He had a couple of GoPro cameras. There he goes. By the way, kind of unceremoniously, he's attached to a giant balloon, and they just let him go, and they said, bye.
Wait,
see ya.
Red Bull and GoPro sponsored him?
No, the other guy, Felix. They didn't. Nobody sponsored this.
It was sponsored.
Alan paid his own money.
Okay.
He can afford it.
Goes up 25 miles. It's 20. Here he goes. He's releasing now 25 miles. Part of the problem is that when you get that high, it gets very hot on the sun side and very cold on the other side. So they had to have all sorts. He's in a spacesuit, basically.
Yeah, it's got a little life support system he had built around it.
Yeah. He's took him 15 minutes to come down. It's not a lot of work. I mean, you're falling the whole way. Landing's hard, though. Watch. He comes in for a whoa!
Oh.
But you see, he's fine. He's raising his thumb. He made it.
It's not that different than skydiving. The landing.
No, it's just a long fall. And there he is, just fine. He couldn't, so they had to switch for him to talk to the ground on the radio, but he didn't want to move because it was so hot. So instead of talking back, he just twitched his leg. Yes, once for yes, twice for no, or something. I don't know. It's a great story. I love Googlers. They're fun people. So tell us about your article on you're back to a payas a pigany or whatever it is.
So my what did I call it? I basically called it how Twitter became the hate speech wing of the free speech party.
Wait a minute, let's parse this. The hate speech wing of the free speech party. So certainly Twitter is great for free speach.
And that's the thing, they've always been very good at free speech, and that's been a part of their DNA from day one, and it's something that they've fought very strongly for. But that puts them in tension with the people who are using it abusively. But my take on it is that they've sort of gradually changed the way that Twitter behaves so that it's much more of a useful platform for people to annoy each other on than it used to be. So when Twitter started, the point was that it was the time of blogging. We had blogs, we had blog comments, and they tended to fill up with people trying to pester you. And we had various ways to try and get around that. I can take some of the blame for building Technorati and making it easy for people to write something on their blog and ping you and see it on your blog. But also blog comments basically didn't verify anyone. You could just go in there and shout at people, and they were annoying. So the social network sites were ramping up because they said, okay, you can only see things from people who you're friends with. And Twitter did something subtly different, which was they created one-way following. So they said, you can publish things and you can choose who you're following, and that's what you'll see. So you basically had to decide who you would see, but there wasn't this awkwardness of it had to be reciprocal, you had to be friends, as you had to do on previous social networks.
Yeah, that was cool.
But Facebook, yeah. And so that the valence of that was nice, but there were some subtleties to that. What it meant was that when you went to Twitter, actually, early on, you didn't even go to Twitter. Most of the time, it would come to your phone. You would sign up with SMS, and SMSs would come to your phone, and it was a kind of group SMS feel. And they had the web version, and they also had an IM version. It would patch into IM, and you would get tweets through IM as well.
Isn't it?
So
it feels so long ago that the Twitter stream could be encapsulated on your text messages or an IM stream.
Right. No, but
it was just a few of us, and it was a few friends.
And so you chose who to follow, and then gradually we added we invented ways of bridging the gap as users, and then Twitter adopted them. So we started out with @replies, where you had this group conversation, and as the speed of tweets sped up, it wasn't always clear who was responding to whom. So you'd put a little @ in to say who you were replying to. And Twitter adopted that and made that part of the platform too. And what that meant was that, but then it was still a secondary place. Your primary stream was the tweet stream you got. You had to click a button to go and see the ads. They didn't get sent to you on the phone. They were just on the website. And they were, the other thing that Twitter did once they started doing them was that they hid tweets that started with an @ if you weren't following both parties.
This is really important.
And we grumbled about it at the time because we said, I like seeing who my friends are talking to.
Right.
But actually it meant that you didn't get swamped with back and forth bickering. It damped it down unless you were actually following them. So that was, I remember grumbling about it at the time, but actually it was a very wise thought because it preserved that sense of the Twitter stream is the stuff I've chosen to see, and the @ is another place I go and look. And they changed that. And then the next thing that happened was hashtags. Now, hashtags create another side channel because if you have a hashtag, you are creating a searchable place where people are talking about the same thing, and then Twitter made that clickable as well, which meant that you could migrate across, not just people who were actually trying to talk to you, but people who were talking about the same subject. So that created another sideways engagement pattern as well. And that was, again, it was users trying to do that, and it was a mixture of trying to filter things out and filter things in, and it worked. And then the thing that happened when Twitter was started building, first independently we started building mobile apps for it and other third-party apps that would actually feed the @ replies and make them more prominent. And that was particularly for people who were trying to do public engagement and media type stuff with it.
Or Comcast trying to follow its, people being annoyed about it.
Yeah, or companies as well, obviously. Yeah. But after Twitter decided that they wanted to own the clients and developers weren't supposed to make them anymore, they defined how the platform behaved. And one of the things they added was these pieces that were not part of that original engagement. So one of the nice things about Twitter was it didn't have an inbox. It didn't have an unread count. We were talking about inbox 0 and all that stuff, but that little sort of number in the corner that nags you wasn't there. The app didn't have a number on it in the on the phone on iOS, like no red numbers in red circles. And one of the things they changed was that they made @ replies be notifications, and they also made them the number that is shown on your phone. So now suddenly you've got an inbox again. And this completely changed the balance of the structure of Twitter from your primary thing is this set of people you're following and paying attention to, and the secondary thing are these responses, to making the responses the biggest thing there. Now, there are reasons for them to do this. Partly it was they're trying to drive engagement. They're trying to get people to come back to Twitter and understand it. And one of the strongest ways to be engaged is having someone have a conversation with you. So that was what drove that. But what it means is that the actual valence of Twitter has changed a lot since it started, and is now much more of a powerful platform for harassing people, for having flame wars, and that kind of thing. And Twitter knows this. They part of the verification program was a way to insulate the famous people who they're encouraging everyone to follow in their sign-up process from this very back and forth process. So if you are verified, you have extra settings that can say, just show me responses from other verified people. And you can also say or other users can sort of dig through and say, only show me notifications from people I'm following. That's there, but it's fairly hidden. It's like three levels down in the settings. With the verified people, it's more obvious, and also as part of the verification program, they spend time working with the famous people to make their lives easier. And so what happened is gradually the sort of character of Twitter has changed, and it's become much more like blog comments or a public discussion forum or things like that, where it's very easy to go and annoy someone, and also very easy to cause a sort of cascade pile-on. And that's where we are now. We're now there with Gamergate and with all these other controversies that go back and forth, where it's very easy to create a set of people to go and pester each other on Twitter, and it makes Twitter feel like a hostile place. And it doesn't feel like the place it was, because its primary mode is now notification, and the notifications are from strangers as opposed to be primarily from people that you've chosen to follow.
It's a really easy way to throw tomatoes at somebody.
And most of the
mob, by the way, the mob thing is big. I mean, Dr. Drew was here, and we were talking about this, and that's exactly what we pointed out. He said, really, you have to understand, humans love mobs. They get sucked into it, and mobs don't end until they draw blood. And that's what Twitter has become, a mob facilitation tool, sometimes positively, Tahrir Square or the Arab Spring, but lately not.
And it's also, so the hashtags are a way of creating a group conversation about something, and a lot, they can be jokes, but they can be quite powerful things. Yes or women was a very powerful hashtag that caused a flood of people's experiences.
Yeah.
But what Twitter is not good at is understanding the difference of valence between the engagement that is positive and what you want, and the engagement that you find abusive. And their reporting mechanisms for that are broken. The way you report abuse is a multi-stage process. It's spam is one click, abuse is an essay question, and then you write an essay, and then it says, well, if it's not you being abused, we're going to ignore you after you've written the essay. So people learn not to use it. So Twitter is not getting the information they need to distinguish the abusive engagement from the positive engagement.
And they don't really respond to it seems like, in most cases, unless you're a celebrity.
Yeah. And so for somebody who creates one of these conversations, starts something that's potentially controversial, they find themselves, they suddenly find themselves in a space where Twitter is unusable. Their phone is beeping 10 times a second. The Mac client crashes because it has too much data and falls over. You can't get to the settings to change it. You basically end up having to go private or leave Twitter. And it sort of undermines the basis there. And I think part of this is that they are being measured on engagement. They're being measured by Wall Street on how much engagement they can get. And that's something that, they've announced the results this week, and their stock went down because apparently they weren't demonstrating enough of that.
There's a very direct connection, isn't there?
And because the money they get is advertising led. This is a bit like the trajectory thing about Google. For the brands, they do want this. This is exactly the kind of engagement you want. You want to start a conversation. You want to be able to track everyone down and do that. But if you do that as an individual and you start this, it can be overwhelming, and the tools aren't there to distintish the two.
And I think a lot of brands are overwhelmed too. They may say they want it, then when it happens, they go, "What the hell?"
Well, that's part of it, and that can be amusing and funny. That could be like when the brand tries to start a conversation about they get all the complaints from there.
Right.
But it's a similar sense of not being able to distinguish these different things, but also not having a strong enough signal to do it. But it's also the other part of this is, and there's a sort of broader point, which is the problem with all of these social experiences is you start out needing more people to talk to. So you sign up for the new thing, you have to find people to talk to, you don't get what it's for, or it just seems empty. And that's definitely the problem Twitter has with new signups, and they've done work to try and encourage you to follow people, but that can exacerbate the problem by getting you just to follow Kim Kardashian or Justin Bieber or something. And so the only interactions you see are not the more personal, direct ones, but these shouting at the broadcaster type interactions.
Right. Is there a fix?
It's not a simple fix. The problem is they would need that. What I'm saying is this is it's a gradual change of emphasis. But the thing is now that most of the people on Twitter haven't been there for 7 years like us. They don't remember that original feeling, and their feeling on Twitter is this: I just accidentally kicked the hornet's nest, and people are swarming me. And to the point where that I'm following some of these discussions about building separate social networks for people who are vulnerable to attack and so on. And their focus is all about building block functionality first, because that's their experience of Twitter. Because the experience of having a sort of semi-public, a sort of the notion of semi-overlapping publics was something I talked about in my original Twitter thing, 2009, which is the idea that we're all publishing different bits of it and seeing different bits of it, and that's part of the value of it. We don't all see the same web, we don't all see the same Twitter, but we see different subsets of it, and the things move gradually from side to side for that. And it took some work to do that. You actually had to repost things or join the conversation and spread things initially. And over time, it gets more efficient and more easier for that to happen. And the danger is you cross the activation point from I don't have enough people to talk to I have too many people to talk to. And it's far too easy to go through that hump, and it's quite hard to get back from it. And so the attraction of LO and, to some extent, attraction of some of the indie web stuff is that we're building another one of these groups where it's still in that early stage and we haven't got to the point where it's too swamping yet.
Although I do have to point out that LO very quickly added blocking.
Yes.
It does seem like the first feature you want. They're not holding that one on premium for premium users. Well, I agree 100% with you, Kevin. I don't know if there's an answer, but I think that you nailed it.
Thank you. Well, one of the things we're doing with IndieWeb is one of the things we built with IndieWeb is the idea of distributed conversation and web mentions. So the idea of a web mention is that if I mention you on my blog post, I send your website a note saying I've mentioned you, and your website can then display that at the bottom. So if you go to like the post I mentioned, the kevinmarks.com/Twitter hate speech, you can see all the web mentions at the bottom from people who've discussed it because I've got them hooked up. And that's the problem we potentially have is that we will hit the same problem because there isn't a filter in that. So the thing we're trying to work out for this in the web mention in the IndieWeb community is what we're calling vouching, where the idea would be that when you send a web mention, the moment the web mention is, "Hi, here's my URL. I pointed to your URL," and then you can go and parse it and see that I actually did and decide to display it. And you could apply a whitelist, blacklist to that as part of the processing on your side. That's up to you. We don't define what you're supposed to do with it. We've got some tools that help. But we're also we're adding a third parameter, which is what we're calling a vouch parameter, which says, if you don't know me, here's a place where here's someone that you link to who has linked to me. So it's trying to say
friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend thing, but it's actually machine parsable friend of a friend. So you could create a automated whitelist, blacklist rule that only allows friend of friends in. And
I notice that this does not seem to be a problem on Facebook or Google Plus. Is that why not? Is it because they're
recipient controlled?
Because
yeah.
Well, Facebook and Google Plus have the bidirectional friendship graph rather than the unidirectional friendship graph. That's one part.
Right.
You can add people on there, but they also. They don't have the commitment to showing you the full feed that Twitter has had.
Right.
They are saying we're always filtering your feed. We're deciding what to show you already, and we've got a bunch of knobs that we adjust to decide what you see. So with Facebook, unless you explicitly go and star people, you don't see all their posts. You only see whatever Facebook decides were popular,
right.
Or if they have congratulations in or whatever. They've got a bunch of. There's a running joke on Facebook. If you want people to see your post, you start it with congratulations. But so they're already doing high level filtering to decide that. Now Twitter has got bits of this. If the part of the notification settings in Twitter are they have this tailored for me setting, which is a wonderful piece of opaque tech speak, which means we will show you some of the things that people are replying you or whatever, but not all of them. But it's not clear what they're doing there, and it's not a coherent setting for people to choose. And I don't think they have all the signals they need to work out what's abuse and what isn't, though I'm sure they're trying very hard to try and understand this. But without the ability to say directly to them, this was abusive, you've only got the block button that says block everything this person ever says in future. And even if you do that, that's only reactive. You can't say block everyone who
it is
talks about this
satisfying.
hashtag who isn't a friend of mine. You've also got mute, which will do that without informing the person that they've been blocked. Right. But both of those don't necessarily block other people retweeting them, things like that. There's leakage in all of those. And to some extent, there's always going to be some kind of leakage. Insofar, and the reason that Twitter get grumpy about this is they say, well, you can't when you block someone, you're not hiding your post from them absolutely unless you go private, because they can always go to the website without logging in and see your posts. Mark Andreessen has blocked me on Twitter for arguing with him about women in tech. So if I want to read his post, I have to go directly to his page and read it, or log in as somebody else and read it. But I'll still see them if somebody else retweets them. So I get this sort of weird, like, one piece of a 20 line post that he's created as a
echo
tweets.
of Mark.
That's true in any one of his tweet storms, because they go everywhere.
You never see it all. I don't understand why anybody would post anything thoughtful and lengthy on Twitter as a tweet storm. It's such a strange thing to do.
It's a separate thing. So he's actually, if you actually look at them, he does it right in that if you reply
He'll
to
number them.
You number them, and then you reply to each subsequent one from the previous one.
Yeah.
So you will get a blue line down the side, and you can see whether one's hidden because of the numbers. So that does work. And the value that he claims to get from it is that people can comment on it line by line, which is there's something else we're trying to hack on IndieWeb with web mentions.
That'd be a nice feature in IndieWeb. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is that I'm straying a bit. But the point is, you can't absolutely block people from seeing what you're posting if you're posting in public. But the valence of it is you don't necessarily want to block them from you. That's a nice side effect, but you do want to block seeing their nonsense and being pursued by their nonsense most of the time. And that's the piece that's sort of off by default. And the question is, could Twitter go back to the default of not notifying you about @replies or tuning that? They could adjust that, but I suspect that would do worse things to their engagement than they're expecting. And also that would involve changing a setting, which means at the moment that the users would individually have to change that setting, or if they changed it globally, they'd probably get a revolt from it. So they're in a kind of sticky place to try and fix this. So I was trying to sort of narrate the history of this and try and think it through for how we design future things, but also to understand how we got to this point in the first place. That was the point of that post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is people harass other people on Twitter because they know when they mention that person that the subject is going to see that tweet, right? And so that the person who's being harassed can block the person after the fact, but the harasser gets the satisfaction that this person saw what I wrote. So to take the teeth out of that, there could ostensibly be a setting that says, only show me in my mentions column people I know. I'm not private, but only show me people I know. Or, make it so that, someone who I don't know can't address me or be in my space or, show up in my mentions tab. I mean, this isn't totally,
Gina,
I'm sorry?
I mean, that's a shame, isn't it? Wouldn't that be a shame if that were the case? I mean, I agree with you technically, absolutely, and it's a clever view, but people do just out of nowhere. Most of the people who mentioned me out of nowhere are nice, decent people.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a shame
but
to have to
at some
design
point,
to the default of the schmuck.
I mean, absolutely, I agree. But you know what? At some point, I was getting so many mentions that I set my mobile Twitter client to only notify me, like only send me a push notification if it's one of my friends who mentions me, right? Like that I want to see, right? The others I'll get later in my mentions tab. You know what I mean? And that's something. Not everybody has this problem. This is a problem of privilege, right? And there's a problem I have because I have a lot of followers, because of Twig and because of Lifehacker. But it does feel like, oh, this person's not going to get into my mental space, unless I've whitelisted them. I mean, and this is what you were advocating for this to some degree in last week's discussion of email.
Well, I'm still agreeing with you. I'm just lamenting that from what you said last week and what Kevin has just said. Heavens to Murgatroyd, what's become of Twitter?
Right. But that's the thing, it's been a gradual change. The setting you have, this is like 4 levels deep in the settings, is you have tailored for you from anyone or off. That's mentions and photo tags. And the problem is there isn't a just some people I know there. Now, I think if you're verified, one of you guys is verified, I think.
I'm verified. I think we're all verified, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. I think you get a different setting there. I think you get from verified people as well. So have a look and see. But so there are different.
I don't want to go to Twitter.
Well, just do it on. I did it on the phone because
I don't want to look at Twitter. Don't make me look at it.
Really horrid people on Twitter.
You do have some really terrible people, Leo. We've been seeing.
The thing is, that notice how many notifications in this list, and these have been incrementally added over time. And this is 4 levels deep. And I've had to click. You have to know to click your account and then notifications. It looks like a single parameter setting, and then underneath it is this, and there's a set of things to turn off. And news and other, and what are these things? I turn them all on this device because it's not my phone, so I want to see what they all are. On my phone, I've had to turn a lot of them off. And there's this, I get weird ones, which is random person has just joined Twitter. Why don't you welcome them?
I know, I hate that.
Right.
And that's one of the others. And the point is, they're trying really, really hard to drive engagement and encouraging to that, and which means they've got a large team of people who are growing the ways of making it more engaging, and they're sort of. Kellen put this very well once. He said, "You're in asymmetric warfare with yourself. The point where you're trying to sort of make people's experience better, while you're also trying to improve your sign-up experience and auto-suggestion and flow, means that every time you improve blocking, unless you also make it hard to make a new account, you're stuck because they will just go away and create new accounts to harass you with, or write bots to do it and retweet them. So it's. I'm not saying it's an easy problem. I'm saying it's a hard problem, and it's a structural problem with a medium, because it's systemically, you do want at that point where you don't have anyone to talk to, you do want to gain people, and then at some point you cross over to this place where every time you touch it, there's something that just makes you back away from it again, and it's very hard to get that sweet spot in the middle. And I think they sort of stumbled into getting that right initially because of the following model. And because there was some resistance there,
right?
But in this, in the last 3 years where they've been trying to ramp up engagement, they've sort of gradually lost the folk memory of that, as the number of users who've joined have not had that experience, but also the employees have not had that experience. A lot of the people who work at Twitter now weren't around on Twitter, in that period, and don't have that folk memory of it being that kind of place, and assume this is just what it's like.
Yeah, it's not.
And that's.
But doesn't this always happen? I mean, we just sound like old farts. The Well was really great. Remember how great The Well used to be?
Well, yeah. I mean, to some extent, this is Eternal September
on
and
CompuServe.
Yeah, or CompuServe or whatever. It seems like all social networks eventually descend to this, and then you just have to move on.
Well, that's a really interesting. Should we name that Leo's Law?
Yeah, name that Leo's Law. See how long that lasts.
Well, I think this is part of the thing with email as well. I mean, if you're my age, you've been using email for 20-something years, and you remember when it was the place where the only thing you ever saw in your inbox was helpful things and people you were excited to hear from, or someone who'd found you somewhere through some complicated process and was asking you an interesting question. And it was a while.
You got excited when you heard you got mail.
Right.
Yeah.
And Usenet was the same. If you go back, 30 years, Usenet was like that. Usenet was a place where you could have these public conversations, and you could assume, but by default, that anyone who'd found their way into there initially was at a university or was associated with it, that was part of the filter, in the same way that was early Facebook filter, and that the conversation was good. And it was, Cantor and Siegel inventing spam and deciding to post their green card lottery nonsense to every use group on Usenet that sort of opened the floodgates there, because it was a deliberate exploitation of this public resource. And the blog comments is the same 10 years later. It's like initially we were just posting comments to each other, and then eventually people started using it to harass people, and then the bots turned up and started spamming everything. And it is this sort of structural problem of how you build these things in a way that are resilient to this, but are still capable of growing. And that is hard.
Okay, Kevin, I go back to the thing I always say at this moment. What are the two things where I'm going to channel Mike Elgin right now? What's troll-proof? He argues that it's Google Plus and Facebook to some extent. Why? Because the user has more the recipient has more control.
Yeah, you know what though? I
am
now getting every single day on my Google Plus the same guy spamming a bunch of a price list. He's putting it in all my community. It's not me. He's just doing it. I block and spam him every single time, and there's no disincentive for him to come back. I believe fully that it isn't the tools that Google Plus offers you; it's that it's new, and it could be. It's just a matter of time. I will stand by Leo's law.
I think it's a bit of both. I think that it's not just that it's new. I think there is a tendency for things to go in this way, and it is Harding, tragedy of the commons or whatever. But the tragedy of commons was somewhat mythical because people do find rules to actually govern commons, and that was that was if you actually look at the literature of this. The tragedy of the commons was a theoretical thing. Actually, people have managed common land very productively for thousands of years because they come up with rule sets that meant you didn't overgraze them. And the challenge for us is the same thing of building these systemic structures, rules of engagement that means that we can have a common space that doesn't get overgrazed or doesn't get overrun. And this is not straightforward. This is hard. And it is very hard to do it with mechanical rules. You do need people. The other article this week that was fascinating, which was, I can't remember where I read it, but you would probably have seen it, was the long article about all the people who are employed to take the nasty stuff out of your social networks.
Facebook. Yeah. Those poor, sad people. I think it was on the Times. Those poor, sad people who have the worst job in the world.
And it's like, now half of Facebook employees by number of employees, their indirect employees, are people in the Philippines who are trying to stop you seeing decapitations and disgusting things by blocking them.
The article is on Wired. The laborers who keep dick pics and beheadings out of your Facebook feed, and the picture tells it all. A poor contractor in Manila who's just hiding her head from the. Can you imagine the horrific stuff they have to see?
I don't know how Matt Cutts maintains his
Matt has to do
sunny personality.
Yeah, I know.
Given the stuff that
we've asked him that, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, often he just smiles.
Yeah.
Well, but he's not. He's got like layers before.
He's not on the ground level anymore.
He probably doesn't see the grossest stuff.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's because part of that talks about all the. This is lots of people get hired and burn out from this very quickly because it is very distressing.
Well, it's like being a cop, frankly. I don't think I could be a police officer either, especially in a major metropolitan. Imagine the horrible, depressing things you would see. Thank God somebody's willing to do it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to cheer things up because we've got a change log when we come back. And if you want to meet Facebook's Mr. Nice, Nick Bilton will introduce him to you. Actually, this is a great article that I really liked. I don't know if you guys read this. Creating empathy among cyberbullying, and it really made me feel pretty good. So I'll cheer you up with that when we come back. First, a word from Squarespace. When you see all this, what it really should reinforce is the most important thing for anybody to have is their place on the web, whether it's your personal blog, if you're a photographer or an artist, your portfolio, if you're selling stuff, you have to have a home on the web. And the thing is, you have to have your home on the web. You make your own, and Squarespace makes it so easy. The best hosting, the best content management system, the software and the hardware make better websites for everybody. It's so easy to use. In fact, so easy you can go there right now, click Get Started. You don't have to give them a credit card or anything. Just 2 weeks to create your own site. Start with one of their gorgeous templates. Now the new Squarespace 7 is up, and some amazing new features, all of them mobile responsive, all of them with e-commerce. Really beautiful. A lot of these are this kind of, you see, this is what's great. You want a web hosting company that will keep you up with the state of the art in the web. Right now, full bleed, this parallax style where you scroll down. This is what everybody's doing. This is a musician. They have embedded their SoundCloud audio. Works great with social media. You can embed the Twitter feed. You can embed the Facebook feed, the good stuff, not the bad stuff. They've got apps, too, for the iPhone and the iPad. The Metric app that allows you to check site stats like page views unique visitors, social media followers. You post with the blog app. If you're a photographer, check out the Portfolio app, which pulls the images from your Facebook page so you can present them to clients. These guys just, I think they have so much extra programming genius, it just spills over into these apps. It's just like, I got some extra time. Let me just write this. And they've done such a good job. The e-commerce, they took a while to launch that. I only launched it last year, and it is the best ever. Just the best ever. Everything you need, and it's built into every template, every style, every account. That's great for nonprofits or cash wedding registries, school fund drives. And if you have a question, don't worry. Squarespace has 24/7 customer support from their offices in New York, live chat and email support 24/7, plus a completely redesigned customer help portal for easier access to self-help articles, video workshops, training. You're not going to need it, but if you want to get deeper into it, you can. Squarespace, try it right now. 2 weeks free. And if you decide to buy $8 a month, and that includes the domain name, they'll do all the wiring and everything free if you sign up for a year. Squarespace.com. Start your trial. 2 weeks free. No credit card needed. Build that website. If you decide to buy, all I ask is you use our offer code TWIG, and you'll get 10% off on your new account. There's so much there. 2 weeks is almost not enough just to see all the features. It's really great. We love it. Squarespace.com. Use the offer code TWIG when you buy to save 10%. Okay. Our new producer, Jason Howell. Are you ready?
I got this, Leo.
You got the changelog theme?
Yeah, I got it.
You got the trumpeters all lined up?
They're standing there at attention.
Hit it.
The Google changelog.
Ba-ba-bum.
Those trumpeters were born ready.
Nice, Jason. Thank you.
Gina Trapani has the latest, and somebody in the chat room said the Nexus 6 is back on sale. I'm rushing over right now.
Go, go,
get
go,
one.
go, go.
Go, go, go. Move. I think he's a lying son of a gun. I
Lying.
see none of it. None of it. Out of stock.
Out of stock.
Darn.
This is a familiar
they manipulated
page.
You, didn't they?
You see,
And me too.
see, they trolled me. Come on, Leah. Yeah, you can get that phone right now.
So that's what you do? You just smash on the color buttons and
Yeah.
price-
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. Jason knows what this is all about.
I tried everything, man. I
had
was clicking the
several
buttons.
browsers
I was
open.
doing full reloads.
I did it on
Whatever
my Chromebook in case they'd favor me for that.
Oh,
Smart.
Oh.
That's smart.
You really overthought it.
Gina, what's new from Google?
Well, Google has released the Google Fit app. It's now available on Google Play.
I love it.
And Google calls it a comprehensive view of your fitness. So you install the Google Fit app, you carry your phone, and you get access to walking, running, and cycling activity. These are all the new Android APIs we saw around music, around movement, and detecting if you're, walking, running, or driving, showing up. You can set and reach goals based on duration or the number of steps you've made, or see your progress throughout the day. I just installed it today, actually, and it's the initial goal that I was tasked with reaching was an hour of movement per day. Pretty good. And you can get performance-based recommendations for activity goals. And the SDK for Google Fit has been released. This is what I'm really interested in. This will allow fitness apps to connect to Google Fit and for you to see all your data in one place. So some devices and apps are already working. Strava, WeThings, Runtastic, Runkeeper, and Noom Coach work right now, and I'm sure that we're going to see more. And the idea is that Google Fit will surface all the data from those collected by those apps into one place to kind of get that bird's eye view of your fitness. And from what I understand, and I haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of testing with this because I was unfortunately sitting at a desk most of the day, is that it connects to, of course, your Android Wear watch, and all that data kind of shows up in one place. So Leo, have you played with it much? It looks like you had it.
Yeah, but I haven't connected to the watch yet. So as you can see, I haven't, because if you don't connect to the watch, you have to keep your phone like in your pocket so it will see your steps. Yeah. So let me connect it to the watch. I've been using, this is a Galaxy Note, and of course there's the Samsung S Fit, same idea, or S Health is the same idea. But let me see if I can get connected to the phone, because maybe I have to do it through the Connect app. I'm not sure. But that would be nice, or through the watch. That would be nice if it would. I bet I have to do it on here, because then it would. Because the watch I always have on, the watch would become a fitness band, right?
Right.
So let's see. It's fit. Yeah, show me my steps. Fit. So it should be collecting that from the watch.
Yeah, it should be collecting it from the watch. So yeah, I didn't do any setup, and I think that the app on the phone did get my steps from the watch.
Yeah, no, mine's not. I set it up, but I'm not, unless I really haven't. But you know what? It might be accurate. I have only taken 1,000 steps. In my defense, I rode for 10 minutes, did the treadmill for half an hour, and lifted weights for half an hour today. But the problem is none of these things ever count real exercise. It's just walking around and running. That's all they count.
Right. Although Ron on All the Android last night said that he was at a concert and kind of, bopping to the beat.
That would count.
Maybe not bopping, but then he got a notification on his watch saying, "Hey, you've hit your step goal today."
Yeah, I've had that happen. That's nice. That's a good feeling.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You hit or miss. Let's see what else we got. Google Plus in celebration of Halloween lets you add spooky effects to your photos. So if you go to g.co/Halloweenify, you'll get the option to add a fun effect or a spooky effect. You choose one of your photos. I tried it out. Yeah, it makes your kid look like a zombie, basically.
Oh, no. Look at mine. I got a really good one. Let me see here. Let's see it. This is mine. Happy. Wait a minute. Share private. Wait a minute. I clicked something wrong. Here, go back to the front. And oh, I shared it privately. I got to share it publicly. No wonder no one's commented on it.
Yeah, don't you love it when that happens?
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Just look at it. It finds your face as usual. They're very good at this kind of stuff.
Finds your face.
But that's the spooky one. There's also like
a fun one.
Cat face. Yeah, like cat faces.
Yeah.
I'll share this publicly.
Cool. Yeah. That's a good one.
It finds more than one face. I've got one with
two faces. Oh, cool.
Let me turn it.
I like it.
Google launches the official YouTube app for PlayStation 4 with 1080p viewing and gameplay sharing. So you can download the app for free via the PlayStation Store and get features that YouTubers, gamers like. The new app will allow gamers to share gameplay directly to YouTube by utilizing the share button on the DualShock 4 controller.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. With the PS4 YouTube app, you can also view videos in up to 1080p quality, 5.1 channel audio.
That's a shot across the bow of Twitch.
Yes, it is. It's supposed to be faster and smoother as well. So
you can do that with Twitch on the PlayStation and Xbox, but now you can do it with YouTube, which has a little bit bigger audience, I think.
Yep, it's true. And finally, Google updates its official analytics app with iPad support. So there's an iPhone app, an app you can run on your iPhone, your iPod Touch to check your Google Analytics for your website. You can now do it on the iPad, and the new app update, of course, takes advantage of the screen real estate on the iPad, so you can see more charts in view than usual, and you can get that in the iOS App Store. And that's all I got.
That's the Google changelog. Ooh, you could do some spooky stuff with this. Very spooky.
Spooking out their photos.
Spooky. I like it. I love auto awesome stuff. I'm such a sucker for, that stuff. So, interesting article. Nick Bilton writing in the New York Times. Mr. Nice at Facebook. His name is Arturo Bejar, and he has the job of teaching the site's users, particularly its teenagers, how to be respectful to one another. And I really liked this. He is director of engineering for the Facebook Protect and Care team. There are 80 people on that team. He says most users are not trying to be mean and will retract a comment and even feel bad about it if they realize it caused someone harm. You might have seen on Facebook, if you see a picture of you or a comment on your stream that you didn't like, there's a button that you can click. In fact, I should do it. Let me complain about something. I'm so good at this.
I don't know if this is enabled for everyone. I feel like these are
I don't get all the features, okay? So I think if you're a teenager, you might get all the features. But let me find a picture of me first. Pictures of you. And let's say, here's a picture of me. Let's say, for reasons I couldn't understand, I didn't like this picture of me. Whoops, let's go back to it. I think I can complain about it. I go to options, and is it report photo? I guess it is. Okay. Help us understand the problem. Why don't you want to see this photo? It's annoying or not interesting. I'm in this photo and I don't like it. Okay. Click continue. Why don't you like it? Well, it's a bad photo of me. It's inappropriate. It makes me sad. It's embarrassing. I'm going to say it makes me sad. Well, you know what? And I love this. The best way to delete this photo is to send a note to the person who posted it and tell them why. Now, this is not the prose that Nick reported in his article. The pre-fills this one with, hey, I don't like this photo, please take it down. But if you're a teenager, you might get some different phraseology. So Facebook has started giving users a list of emotions like embarrassing to say why you want it removed. My normal reaction, I think teenager normal reaction would be to go, F you, get rid of that, you ass. But, or maybe even, I sounded like Jeff for a moment there. But
You did. You were channeling Jarvis.
they say, when Facebook, in early versions of the feature, only 20% of teenagers filled out the form. When Facebook added more descriptive language, like feelings and sadness, the figure grew to 80%.
Wow.
We've played around with having pre-populated messages versus no message at all. If kids are given a blank box, oftentimes they're going to say things that are not going to be helpful, including cursing at their friends. When Facebook offered more developed responses like, this post is mean, it makes me feel sad, and I don't want it on Facebook, 85% of teenagers who wanted a post removed sent the message. And what I think is very interesting is it's not merely that they want people to be more civil. I think they're trying to teach younger users emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, this is mindfulness, right? Like, this is like someone else has articulated your feelings, and you're like, yeah, that's it. Right,
And it works.
you know?
They go, yeah, I do feel sad.
That is what I want.
Loco parentis, Facebook.
Isn't that great?
It's pretty great.
We're not,
It's
you
pretty
know,
great.
maybe we're not teaching our kids, because I know we're not that good at it. As an adult, I'm very bad at it, how to respond in this kind of mindful way. Sometimes I think, what would the Dalai Lama say? Up yours, you bozo!
In the heat of the moment, when you're overcome with emotion and you
Right.
feel attacked or you feel vulnerable, which
Right.
we often do when someone says something or posts something about us that we don't like, it's very difficult to have that kind of distance and perspective.
And, therapists always say, use I words. Tell us how you feel about something, not, criticize the other person. Say how it makes you feel. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, this post is mean. Yeah, it's interesting. Right, and it's criticizing the post and not
It
the
makes
person.
me feel sad. I don't want it on Facebook. Isn't that good?
Aww,
I'm going
caring
to...
for your inner child.
Yeah. So when Facebook asked people why they shared a post that hurt someone else, this is also interesting. 90% of respondents said they thought their friends would like the post or would find it funny. Only 2% wanted to provoke or alarm someone else.
Well, come on.
Maybe
man.
they're not
That's-
admitting it.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah,
think.
there's something.
I think, though, there's some truth in that. I think that digital
Sometimes.
media do not communicate nuance, as we know this very well. And jokes are often lost in translation on Twitter and on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I disagree with this. One of the reasons you see stickers now, they say, is because they're trying to put facial expressions on stickers. So another way to help you express feelings and be more empathetic. Next, they're going to experiment with sounds. Imagine sending someone the sound of a grunt, sigh, or a giggle to communicate your feelings about a post. I think this is great.
The
great.
fart will be very popular.
This is the point about phatic. Is
Yeah.
that the meaning of phatic
farting.
means it.
Farting. We're back to farting.
No, fatting.
Phatic is, and I looked it up. It is phatic.
AE. How do you
looked up the
pronounce
IPA.
AE?
Ah.
Oh, all right. It's phonetically AE. That deleted AE.
So the is that it is a communication that the word is not there for meaning, but for emotional communication. So so when you say, "How are you?" You're not saying, "Tell me your medical history." You're saying, "I care about you."
Phatic.
Phatic.
There you go.
Phatic.
This this reminds me of that story, the Facebook comment that ruined a life. I put it on the rundown right below the Mr. Nice story, but it was about that teenager that posted a really badly executed joke about shooting up a kindergarten and got called in and went to prison and suffered like extreme abuse in prison.
And it was a joke.
Yeah. Which was just an unbelievable story in every single way. But yeah, it's interesting. We built these communications mechanisms, and that aren't face to face, and now we have to sort of make them as face to face as we can possibly make them, so that humans act like humans.
That's why I do really think sounds like sighs are a great idea, and stickers so you see people's faces. This is quite a story, and it will really depress you. So,
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer.
Yeah,
and it's old news, but it just reminded me of that.
That was very distressing because, it was he did say something very stupid and but it was a trolly conversation with a friend.
You read it on the face of it. It's all in caps and it's horrific. Because text doesn't communicate any nuance, you don't get the sense of you don't see this, tilt of the head or the smile. It's sad. Anyway, that's fact.
Things up with the Leistung-Schutzrecht report if you want.
All right, let's get some lights. You know what this show needs more of? Leistung-Schutzrecht. Jeff Jarvis.
All right, real quick.
That's easy because Jim is phonetic.
Last week, basically, the publishers lost. They got kicked out of the cartel office.
What?
The publishers, except for 3 cases, gave up, but it's not a happy ending yet. They basically gave up, and Google pulled down the snippets only for Die Welt and 3 small built brands, not meaning much, and not much else. So that would seem like a victory. Aha! No. Because tomorrow, or this week, Spain is going to vote on the link tax, and it's going to pass. Plus, the EU head of digital,
traveling with your family,
Oettinger, talked about coming up with a EU-wide Leistungsschutzrecht. So this is whack-a-mole. It's not over. I didn't want to bore you forever, but I wanted to get that quick report in, and especially that's the reason that I chose to come speak here in Spain. Because I wanted to argue about how the link tax is wrong. 20 years ago this month, the commercial browser was introduced, and now Spain is voting to kill the link and thus the web. So take that. That's it.
How do you say Leistungsschutzrecht?
Leistungsschutzrecht.
In Spanish.
I was wondering that. I knew you'd ask, and I should have found out what link tax is in Spanish.
I guarantee you it's not one word.
Google Translate, right?
Try link tax in Spanish. That's what they did.
Thank you, Hannes Schlech, for that. Leistungsschutzrecht moment. I think we've said everything that need to be said. Anybody want to throw anything in here before we go to our picks of the week?
Let me look at the things. I just
Gmail messages showing up in Google searches. That's weird.
That is pretty weird.
But it's only the messages you wrote in your search results.
It's still going to freak people out, I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do we care about the Fire Stick or Fire TV
Amazon
stick?
has announced basically now it's more like the Roku stick than it is like the Chromecast. So don't get scared, kids. But it's priced like the Chromecast, $39, and if you're a Prime member, $19. It's
that sale is over at this point.
You missed it?
Yep, you missed it. It was a 48-hour deal, and it's
so the Nexus 6 and that gone. Got to pay more attention.
I didn't pull the trigger on that.
Damn. I don't want it. It's just another thing you plug into your TV. It's got an HDMI port.
Pretty soon you're going to be able to get a Fire phone for $39.
I know. Now, the Fire TV, which is $99, and the Fire Stick are, I think, functionally almost identical. They don't have, obviously, the voice search. You do get a dedicated remote.
There is voice search with this.
There is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Mm-hmm. You say what you want, and where do you say it? Into the remote?
Yep.
I guess you say it into the remote, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not bad, huh? And the Fire phone is $1.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Simply say what you want to watch and start enjoying in seconds with the free app or Amazon Fire TV voice remote sold separately.
So
the remote that comes with this
doesn't. No, there's no mic in that remote, but you could use your app on your phone. So there's an app for it. I guess I should get this. I still haven't hooked up my Fire TV. So what do I need this for? It's the same basically, right? Do you have the gaming? You get Netflix, Amazon, of course, Hulu Plus, Crackle, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify.
Didn't seem like there was much gaming going on there.
Flappy Birds, Tetris, PBA Bowling Challenge, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's pretty good. You don't know Jack. So, yeah, that's kind of, I mean, the price is what's interesting about this.
Yeah.
$39. And if you apparently were on the stick, you'd have gotten it for $19. And does it has all the family stuff too, the kids, yeah, it has the kids stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So all you need is the phone, the Fire TV remote app, which does not require a Fire phone. Thank God. You know what's not on here? It's interesting. Are the two new music streamers that are streaming uncompressed CD quality sound, and the Sonos offers those, and that's kind of intriguing. They're $20 a month though, and the trend for streaming music like Spotify and Beats seems to be going down, and Google Music not up to $5 seems to be the bottom. Oh, there is one other story that actually might affect us. Microsoft today announced that they're going to offer unlimited OneDrive storage if you buy a Office 365 subscription, which is as little as $70 a year. Unlimited, not 1 terabyte, not 5 terabytes, unlimited. I happen to have an Office 365 subscription, so I immediately signed up.
So, can you hot link? Are you going to host your shows there now?
I think we should. Now available on OneDrive.
Now, uncompressed HD video.
It's not the size, it's the bandwidth that gets you. That's what she said. So, anyway, what I think is interesting about this is that this is very competitive space. Google started it by dropping the price of Google Drive storage to almost nothing. And Microsoft's competing. Amazon's competing. Well, Dropbox is the one caught with a squeeze, I think.
Right, because it's their only business and they can't subsidize it. Yeah.
Right.
But the advantage they have is that they are actually truly cross-platform, whereas everyone else has got some kind of place where it's hard for them to do it.
I put OneDrive on my Android phone, and it will do the automatic upload thing, just like everybody else does, of pictures and documents, and it seems to work pretty well. Apparently, Mary Jo Foley was saying that Office for Android is imminent. So, yeah. So if that's, I mean, an Office for the iPad's pretty sweet. So Office for Android comes out. You've got the automatic photo backup. I don't know. This is a little bit of a competitor.
I spent a bit of time trying with Office 365, and
that's Office for the desktop, by the way. Last half of 2015.
But they have the web-based stuff as well,
which is good. I thought.
The part is that the web-based edit. Yeah, the web-based stuff is good, and it feels like docs. But if you actually try and use the apps, you suddenly stuck with locking, and whoever's got it open, nobody else can touch it, and it all gets confusing again.
Right.
So it's interesting. So they've managed to fix the website of it and get quite good at that, but they're still stuck with the native apps on Windows and Mac, where the app doesn't have a concept of two people editing at once, so it feels like source code control from 15 years ago. Right. You have to check out the file, and anyone who's touched it means that nobody else can touch it, and you still have to merge it. Whereas the web-based side of it, and I think the iPhone side of it, it has that Google Docsy feel to it. So it's interesting that they're keeping the legacy apps because that's the thing people are used to, but they're having to sort of work really hard to do that.
Well, and what's neat is that the Office.com apps work on a Chromebook, they work on a Mac, and they're good. I mean, I suppose there's stuff missing. I'm sure there is, but it's pretty amazing. In an HTML5 browser, you've got, a Office for free.
Yeah. I think the value is people who really, really like Excel spreadsheets.
Right. Yeah, because
that,
word processing is pretty straightforward. It's Excel that's the unique. Yeah, I agree.
Well, actually, the people who really love Word are lawyers who really like track changes because no one's taught them about Git yet and merging, so that their sort of workflow is all in that. And the only time I have to use Word these days is when I have a legal document that I have to send changes to, and I have to go into their workflow for a bit.
That's right. That's right, baby. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to get your picks of the week, so everybody prepare. Right now, I'm going to prepare for Betty Buy time. I'm putting on my jammies because I got my new Casper mattress. I don't know if you've ever gone mattress shopping. Of course you have. Who hasn't? If you're a grown-up, you've been mattress shopping. And it's kind of crazy to think that you could go to a mattress store, middle of the day, lie on a bed with your clothes on, looking up at the ceiling and the sales lady staring at you, and think that you could in any way judge whether that bed is right for you. You can't. Casper, kind of counterintuitively, sells mattresses online. You might say, well, then I really can't try it. Oh, no. That's what's great about this. You have 100 days to try it. You can free delivery, painless returns within a 100-day period. So if you don't like it after 3 months, no problem. They'll come and get it. Here's our Casper mattress. This is a queen-size mattress that came in a box the size of a small child. I know because after the mattress was out, the small child got in the box and started playing with it. It's a wonderful box. This is the mattress. They give you a nice little tool. It's wrapped in Tyvek. By the way, no outgassing. It does not have any odor. It smells great. And the reason I mention that is because it's a latex mattress with memory foam on the top. And you might say, well, it smells great. And look at this. It's comfortable. I don't know how they do it. It's soft on top and firm in the back. It's just what you want, in my opinion. It's firm but soft. Ozzy even loved it. And it's great for a great night's sleep. But you do get to try it off. Also, it sleeps cool, which is really nice. Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost. We're talking $500 for a twin, $950 all the way up to the biggest size, the king size. And you'll save an additional $50. Even Ozzy likes it. As one of our audience members by going to Casper, CASPER.com/twig and entering the promo code TWIG. This is one of those things that really works great. I love it. I liked it so much I got one for my son in his, wasn't his dorm room. He moved out of the dorms this year. He's a sophomore. And he has a new house. And we were all thinking, well, how are we going to get a bed for him? And I mailed it. I had it mailed in a box. He loves it. He loves it. Casper.com/twig. Use the promo code TWIG, and you'll get $50 off any mattress for a guest room, for a college kid, for yourself. It's a really great solution. It is not, you're right. Somebody in the chat room said, shouldn't it be 100 nights, not 100 days? Yes. You have 100 nights to try it out. I spent a lot of time on my Casper. It's very comfy. All right, let's get our tip of the week. Gina Trapani is here, the founding editor of Lifehacker. She's full of tips.
This one is more of a time waster than a time saver. I got to be honest. Google Pac-Man. That's it. Google Pac-Man.
Damn you, Gina!
This is how I know we've been doing this show for a long time. I remember covering this on this show in 2010.
Right.
This was the Pac-Man homepage, which was a fully JavaScript-enabled Pac-Man game that you could play.
Yep.
Well, if you Google Pac-Man, you will get a search result, a card in your search results with the full game. Click to play.
Wait a minute. You're kidding. Just in search results?
Yeah, in the search results.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to try this. Oh, well, you do.
Yep.
That's hysterical.
The doodle. and you can play. So I apologize for rehashing the Pac-Man game from 2010, but I didn't realize it was right there in the search results. And you can play Pac-Man anytime. Come on.
Now that is a knowledge graph I can live with. Wow, that is awesome. As you can see, I suck at Pac-Man.
Oh, just the sound of it. Just the
it does
sound
come
of it
back,
makes me feel
doesn't
like
it?
I'm a kid. Yeah.
Oh,
This was
man.
the game of my childhood. This was the game.
It looks too wide.
It's a widescreen. It's 16:9 Pac-Man.
It's the Google board.
But what's interesting, they must have licensed
I see.
this.
It's a Google board. Got you. Yes.
They must have licensed this from Namco because it's got the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Sounds and everything.
It's got the whole look. Yeah, exactly. So sorry, and you're welcome.
Damn you, Gina. Well,
I had to do it.
at least I don't have to drop quarters to play it.
Yeah, exactly, right? I know. If I could have told my 8-year-old self that someday I could just type Pac-Man into Google and play Pac-Man anytime I wanted, I think I would have plotzed. I don't even know what I would have done.
They're saying that all the Google Doodle games will work this way.
Oh, really?
So we've got to try some others.
They do Hangman at some point?
They have a lot of games, I think.
No, they didn't.
Hangman? Come on.
I thought that they
Dream
had
big,
Hangman.
Gina. Hangman? Really? I wish they had Hangman.
I'm in retro game mode here. Snake. I don't see Snake.
How about Frogger?
Frogger.
Let's search for Frogger.
So it had to have been a doodle game.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying?
Yeah. Defender. Didn't they do Defender?
They did do Defender at one time, but
Maybe it doesn't work with all the games.
pretty sure.
Asteroids? No. Dang. See, now I'm just like, this is just my
Battle
this is just
Zone.
my kids.
Half-Life 3?
Yeah. You know what?
This is
Your
gonna be
kids
Multi-arcade
will say,
machine emulator out again, isn't it?
Mommy, I searched for Crisis and I had the whole game in my browser.
Yep.
Just a matter of time. I was playing Quake 3 in my browser.
My kid's gonna be like, there used to be
I have
a
done
whole
that.
machine dedicated to this. I got this in a Google Now card.
Do they have a Rubik's Cube? Didn't they do a
I
Rubik's
can play
Cube?
it on my watch, Mom.
Which has probably got more pixels than that.
No, apparently it's only Pac-Man. Sorry.
I read some great articles this week, which I probably have lost, but they were interviewing people who used to work for Atari. I think it was the first female game programmer.
Yes, we actually had booked her on Triangulation. I'm trying to get her
Right.
on. Yeah.
And like really,
She wrote.
well,
What did she write? She wrote Centipede. I think so.
I can't remember, but it was like, yes, we had 128 bytes of RAM to work with. Bytes. of RAM.
Bytes, not kilobytes.
I'm listening to Walter Isaacson's brand history of,
Is that good?
of all that we love, and the game stuff in it is kind of great.
All right, I'm gonna have to get it. I have to get it.
It's the story of our lives, you know. So.
Right, it is, isn't it? Jeff, do you have a number?
My number, I think, is 11:18. That's how late it is here. And I'm using that as my excuse because I have my room service here. I
Oh,
ended up
yum,
doing
yum,
the
yum.
burger.
Eat your dinner, and thank you so much for being here from Madrid. I hope there's a little paella under that tin.
No, unfortunately, it's a burger. That's all they had. But
Oh,
I
well,
fly
you'll
back
be home
tomorrow morning.
soon. You'll be home soon. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
We love you.
Thank you.
Be good. Be cool. Let's get a tip from Kevin. I think you have one.
I've actually got three, but let's
Fire
so
away.
Let me go through this. So I just got told by Bear about this. If you go to the Internet Archive, they have emulators for old games. So if you go archive.org/details/console living room, they will have emulators for games there. And they're actually trying to work their way through all the different things, and they have JavaScript-based virtual machines that run the game ROMs and things like that. That's one of the projects they're doing. And they're starting to try and do this with CD-ROMs and things as well. They're gathering those. So their goal is that by using emulation, they'll be able to play back some of these games. So, someone sound Frogger. There
I
you go.
got Frogger.
Nice, Frogger.
But how do I move?
But this is not the Frogger machine. This is like the Atari 800 playing Frogger.
Oh, I
which
need
is
a joystick?
Much lower spec machine. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
quite
it's a
sure.
2600. Yeah.
Yes, it's 2600.
That's
so
cool.
there is there is multi-arcade machine emulator which actually plays real ROMs from real games, but then but then you've got to go and find ROMs which are not circulated because they're copyrighted by other companies. That's harder. But the point of Internet Archive is they're trying to preserve everything. So I was inspired by two things today. One was the Internet Archive has finally changed their UI. So if you go to Internet, I think you have to actually go through a link. Hang on, internetarchive.org, archive.org/new or something. Let me try and find where it is.
If this goes Sega, I'm going to go crazy.
Archive.org/v2. So if you do archive.org/v2, you get a new 2014, I'll get everything there, UI to the Internet Archive.
Oh.
And so it looks pretty and modern and has like that Pinterest tidy thing going on, but it's still got the round corners, but much more images. So that inspired me to go back and look up my first website. So I did a post.
I'm playing this on the web, by the way. This is in a browser.
It is the... Yes.
Unbelievable.
This is the point. This is the you can do everything in JavaScript thing. It's basically they're using asm.js and they're compiling the emulators into JavaScript.
So they don't rewrite the code; they actually are emulating it. Wow.
Yeah. So layers of emulation. So it's the 45th anniversary of the ARPANET today.
Happy anniversary.
And it's the 20th anniversary of the W3C. And there's a big gala performance going on in Santa Clara this afternoon. And I linked that from my post. So I this made me go back and say, let me see if I can find my first web page.
Oh, look at that.
I went back and found my first web page, which was from 1995. I'm not exactly sure when in 1995, because this was on my company's homepage that I was working for at the time. It was at mmscorp.com/tilde Kevin Marks. And I posted photographs of my son after he was born in 1995 and then didn't touch the page for 2 years. But that was just long enough for it to get into Internet Archive, which started crawling in 97.
And now he's in college.
And now he's in college, yes.
Wow.
But the thing, like, I was actually pleased that I could find that. And I got away with it by dint of the Internet Archive. Because a lot of people lost their first web page, partly because... companies shut down and deleted them.
Yeah.
And the Internet Archive didn't start crawling until 97. And so if they didn't manage to catch it, then they'd go away and gone. But
what you want is the Wayback Machine, and you need to remember your old URL, right?
Yes.
Mine was /tilde Laporte, I think.
Well, I looked up mmcorp.com, which was the company website. Actually, look at that. That's quite a thing in its own right. So you have to go all the way back to 96 to look at it because somebody else bought it after we shut down.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, I'm looking at my old.
Look at your one. Yeah.
Screw you. I'm trying to find my site.
For trying to find your site. Okay.
I think it's okay. So which one should I look at?
mmcorp.com.
Okay. Just the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
Go back to 96 because somebody else bought it afterwards.
No, 96 has nothing. 97 is the first one, yeah. February 20th, 1997, ladies and gentlemen.
And I just love the retro design of this.
Man. We thought this was cool.
That was fantastic.
This is pretty nice.
Because it's moving.
Design. Cool.
In 97, anything that moved on the web.
Animated GIFs and things like GIF and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Anyway, so buried somewhere 3 levels down in that was my original site, which I've now dug out and preserved, which is pictures of me and my son. So that was my. I think everyone should go and share my first web page on Twitter.
The hashtag my first website.
What did I do? My first web page I did.
Page. Okay.
Because it was really just a page.
Could I just search for my name, or do you have to search for a URL?
You have to search for a URL, so you have to know where it was.
Yeah. CRL.com. Maybe it was /tilde Leo Laporte. Maybe it was /tilde Leoville. Nope. It's fun, though, to play with this. And so they started in 95.
It's so fun just to look back at any URL.
Yeah. They started crawling in late 96, but they weren't doing very comprehensive. It's basically based on the Alexa search engine was the original stuff before they started crawling on their own. And I'm not sure how comprehensive the early years of the crawl are, but they've got better over time. And now the other tip is that you can now actually tell it to go and crawl something, which is handy. You can say, I just posted this thing, go crawl it. But you can also say, I just linked to this thing, go crawl it. And that means that if the thing goes away, at least they've got a copy too.
Very neat.
But the actual app tip I have, and I'm sure this is an app you've seen before, is Plex.tv. Do you know Plex?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically you run it on your machine at home and it sets up a server for all your local media. But the thing that I found is they now have very good Chromecast support. So you set up the Plex server at home, and then you use your phone to serve the audio and video you have to your Chromecast around the house. And you can then watch your home movies or stuff you've bought from Apple Store or other videos you have, and watch those on the Chromecast. And that was I've been using that a lot recently. I was really impressed with how smooth they made the experience and how much nicer it was than the sort of the Google Play experience to some extent.
You have to have a premium account, I think, though, right?
Yeah, you have to pay $5 for the app, I think, and then it works. Yeah. So the server you run yourself, and then you pay $5 for the app. And I found it worth it because it made it much. That process was always like, I've got to go and copy this somewhere, and I've got to open the browser on the Mac and share it to the thing. And this means you just run the Plex server on the Mac that has the hard drive attached, and then you can use your phones to send it to your Chromecast. So that was my actually useful video sharing tip.
And this is a tip from our chat room. Travel to the past of the web by right-clicking pages and links. It's called Memento. It's a Chrome
that's cool.
plugin. You'll set the date.
Neat.
For time travel, and then right-click on a web page and say, get near, and you'll see what the page looked like from around that selected date. Now, it works well with Wikipedia because it's been around for a long time, but it would only work with a site that has a continuous history, I guess. This must tie into archive.org, though.
Yeah, it must be an archive.
Yeah, it does. In fact, I see the Wayback Machine.
I found a very early version of my first company site, which was nj.com. In 96, Christmas 96.
NJ.com. And so are you going to post that on Twitter or whatever your social network?
It was my earliest. My earliest was called Rain or Shine. It was the first version of NJ.com.
What year was that?
It was probably 95. That was definitely early 95.
All right, I got to since we're doing silly tools, if I can get this tool from Jeff. What was the site? Because I can't get your message to me. Oh shoot.
Jeff, Leo has a question.
What was that silly site? Crumble, C-R-U-M-B-L-E. Crumbles, C-R-U-M-B-L-E-S.co.com. I think you're right. And so somebody has done that thing where you take videos and you take words out of it, except that they've put these all online so you can build your own crumble. You can either use the standard dictionary or it can be all Homer Simpson all the time. So let's just try good night, everybody. Sweet dreams. It'll go in red if it doesn't have that word. Let's see if I can make a video out of this. Oops. Sweet nightmares. Didn't have dreams. Nightmare. Sweet
candy.
Sweet donuts. We know there'll be donuts. All right, now we'll play the video. Turn up the sound. Here we go.
Good night, everybody. Sweet donuts.
Imagine the fun you'll have with crumbles.co. Thank you, everybody. We have fun, and I hope you had fun. And we also talked some deep stuff. And Kevin Marks today added the deepness. We appreciate it. Kevin, well, we should mention your blog, but I guess if you go to kevinmarks.com, that'll drive everybody to the places you wish them to go.
Yes, I've got a bunch of links there.
Yeah, because I don't want to say pay us a pigany.
Yes.
Because it's phatic. And
everything I post on my blog now, I post on there too.
Good. Yeah, I noticed you posted it everywhere.
Well, that was that's part of this is the indie web thing of publish on your own site first and share elsewhere. So I said, okay, I'll post it on my site, and then it's like, oh, but I should post it on my known site, and I should post it on my blog.
That's the problem.
Oh, and I could put it on Medium, and and it's a lot of that is still fairly manual. We need to make that a bit more automated. We've got some automated things, and Known we talked about before.
Yeah, and I'm running Known at leoville.net, and I like it a lot. I used it to post some of my London pictures and so forth.
I saw those. Those are great. Yeah,
but I still don't feel like it's become. I mean, it's actually a nice little blog platform, is what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's become the two-way street that I was hoping it would be. Right?
Well, that's the challenge is that we're working on in the indie web thing and this is what we're talking about, the web mentions and vouching and things like that. We need to be able to read things as well as write them.
Right.
So we need the reader half of this, and now that that's part of what Twitter brought and Facebook newsfeed brought was that you read in the same place you're posting.
Right.
And we need to bring that to the web too. And I know the Known guys are working on that. But the challenge, and if you use Known as a group blog, that works now because you can all see the people who are in the same blogs post as you.
Right.
And that's one of the use cases they've been finding a lot of traction from groups of students and people who write together. But the challenge is, can I then subscribe to people elsewhere as well, and how do we make that work? And the sort of getting the mechanism for that right is, to some extent, it's reinventing the blogging subscriptions and readers and things that we had before. We want to try and do that in a way that sort of plugs in with the social web too. So that's an ongoing thing that's going on. And I know that the Known guys are at Internet Identity Workshop this week and talking protocols and specs there. And the other thing that's going on this week is the W3C meetup in Santa Clara, where there's lots of spec work going on there. That's where I was yesterday. So there's lots of trying to keep the web is a lot of what this is about, and that's I'm getting encouraged by that. So somebody wrote an article that was going back to the web that was or something. I don't remember what it was called. The Great Web 1.0 Revival. That was it.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Which was talking about these sort of indie web type things, and Tilda Club, and and Ello, which has a graphic design style like that website of mine from 1996, and it is very much this sense of, oh right, it's going back to that point where we remember the group was still just the nice people, and because we hadn't hit the explosion of the trolls yet.
Here's Tilda Club. This is such a great story. The guy spun up a Amazon web server instance, just one machine, and sent out notes saying, it's a terminal. Here, if you want it, set up a web page, put a web page on here. And of course, it can only handle a few hundred pages.
And it is literally, it's Paul Ford, who's ftrain.com. And he also gave a great speech at XOXO, which I think was posted this week. But what he literally said, okay, why don't I make a web server like we had back then 20 years ago? And so he did. And the thing is, now it's like it costs him like $10 a week to have this up and running at Amazon, because it's the small thing, but he can host hundreds of people on it.
He said he knew he'd made it when somebody found him, went to his house, and slipped $24 under his door to thank him for creating Tilda Club. And of course, one of the kind of the ethos of it is no images, right? It's all ASCII.
No. It's a web server, so there are images.
Well, there are quite a few images, come to think of it.
It depends. But the point is that you're using a web server of that era, pretty much.
Yeah. So you try to fit that.
It's running
style.
Apache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it's images, it's like this.
Right.
Don't ask for an invite. He's closed.
Yeah, it's full. But they says one of the things he says they're doing is they're putting together how can you set up your own one?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, one of the nice things about Tilda Club, they've got a web ring.
I remember those.
If you remember web rings, then you need to be back to the web 1.0.
Asses.
Yeah. Some of this nostalgia probably is misplaced. You might admit that, Kevin, right?
I don't know. I think it's the part of the point is it's trying to rediscover. It was the thing I realized that made me write that post about Twitter was that the conceptual environment is different on Twitter now than it was, even 5 years ago when I wrote the first Twitter theory post, because the stuff has changed and people's mental model of it has changed with that. And I think going back, somebody described the indie web group as the Society of Creative Anachronism for the web.
Yeah.
You're just reenacting the medieval web
Right.
here.
It's a Renaissance fair for the web. Yeah.
But part of the point is that there were a set of things that we did then that had different assumptions around them, and trying to recapture those assumptions. And then we can examine them in the light of what's happened since, and say there were good things at that, there were good things at this. How do we make a new web that brings the best of both? And that's indie web is not like thou shalt never use Twitter. It's how do we plug our own personal sites into Twitter in such a way that the website will still be around in 10 years' time, even if Twitter's come and gone by then. And that's it's that long-term thinking, but it's also saying we want to take advantage of the pieces, the communication methods and things that are here now, because obviously Twitter is great. I'm not attacking Twitter with this post or with any web stuff. I think it's wonderful, and I want it to stay great. And part of it is helping, think about how to do that, how to make it part of the web, not something that fights the web.
KevinMarks.com. I agree. Find out more about the indie web movement on his webpage. Mr. Madrid is eating, but he is still here.
I try to mute with every bite.
I bet it's delicious, though. You're making me hungry. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis.
Wagyu cheeseburger.
We love you, Jeff. We'll see you next week, right? You'll be back. Cheers.
All of you.
Nice.
Buzzmachine.com. Everybody's toasting you right now, Jeff. Even those guys at Google. Gina Trapani is at scribbles.com and .net.
Scribbling.net. Scribbling.net.
Damn it.
God, you cannot get this.
Damn it. Her first webpage at scribbling.net.
It was my first domain, so I'm going back to first principles.
Was it really?
Too.
It was your first domain. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I like it. Scribbling.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. It was a great show.
You got it.
Yeah. Go there and read, and then, of course, visit ThinkUp and sign up because it's great.
Yes. Thank you, Leo.
And F and Dunn has provided us with a close for today's show from crumbles.co. Let me load
Good
this.
job, F and Dunn.
Yes, well done.
Well played.
Watching this week and Google.
Good day, everybody. Bye-bye.